Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining Fancy Food Show Goes to Vegas, a digital preview webinar. We're so excited for Las Vegas, happening February 6th through the 8th. And first things first, nice to meet you if I haven't met you yet. My name is Adriana. I am the SFA Social Media Manager. And I'm here to tell you before we start off that we would love to have you all RSVP to SFA's Facebook event and LinkedIn event so that you get weekly updates about the show. I will throw in the links at the bottom in the chat, as well as all of our social platforms so that you can give us a follow, and we would love to follow you too. So make sure you do that. So without further ado, we will be presenting the Winter Fancy Food Show digital preview, and the VP of Events and Member Development guy doing it is Leo Squatrito. All right.
Thanks, Adrienne. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody, and welcome. And thank you so much for joining us today at this little sneak peek of the Las Vegas Winter Fancy Food Show, which, as most of you know, is February 6th through the 8th, 2022 at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Today, I want to just give you a sneak peek into the event that we're having at the Las Vegas Convention Center. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the area. If you haven't been to Vegas in a while, it's changed quite a bit over the last 2 years during the pandemic. Going to give you a sneak peek into some of the key areas on our show floor, talk about our registration and verification processes, and just give you everything I hope that you need to have the information that you want to come join us in Las Vegas, either as an exhibitor or an attendee. We would love to have you. So what I'm going to do first is start off with something really simple, which is really just to give you a sense for what it looks like when you're at the Las Vegas Convention Center and what you will expect in terms of getting around the Las Vegas Convention Center. There are two really easy ways to get around in Las Vegas. One is the Monorail system, which takes you all the way from Sahara all the way down to MGM with a stop directly in front of Las Vegas Convention Center at Central Hall. I'm sorry, right in front of the South Hall, which is where the Fancy Food Show event is happening. The second one, which is a brand new one, which I'm going to show you a quick video, which I think you'll find pretty cool. The LVCC Loop, which was done by the Boring Company or our friend Elon Musk. And what that does is it takes you all the way from the West Building, which is the new building, all the way to the South Building and saves you a considerable amount of walking time. The loop can get 4,500 attendees from location 1 to location 2 in less than 2 minutes. So we're really excited about that. They are in the process of looping or connecting the loop directly to Resorts World, which is a brand new resort facility in Las Vegas in one of our key hotels. So anyone staying at Resorts World will be able to jump right on the loop, and you can take it right to the front of our Central Hall, and it's a short little walk right into South Hall. So let's get started. I'm going to take you for a quick tour of the Las Vegas Convention Center. Okay, here we are in front of what some of you may not have seen before. This is the brand new West Building at the Las Vegas Convention Center. This was just recently opened, literally just a few months ago. And this new building is a great new building. We're not in this building yet, but we're talking about maybe in the future being in that building. We're in the South Building, but I wanted to just give you some perspective on some of the new things in Las Vegas. Here is the Resorts World property right here in the upper corner on the left side, this red building. And the loop station in front of West is sitting right here on this corner. And what I had mentioned before is they're going to take this loop and they're going to bring you right into Resorts World. That station sits right here. So for folks staying at Resorts World, they'll be able to get right out of their Tesla, go right up the escalators and into Resorts World. So let's take you a little bit over. This is the new Marriott property right here that was just built for the new convention center. And I'm going to take you over to the central area in the South Building, which is where we will have our show. So here is the central building right here. This is the loop station that I mentioned. That's right in front of the South Building in Central Hall. Anybody who wants to come to our show, which is right here in the South Building, can jump right out of the loop. Right here, it's a quick little walk, and you're right there at the South Building. The Las Vegas Monorail, so if you're staying at any of the locations I'll show you in a minute that are on the monorail, including Sahara, Westgate, and a number of other properties, You can jump right on the monorail and get out right in front of the South Hall right here, which makes it really, really easy. Moving over to the South Hall, this is our building right here. This is the entrance to our South Hall. We're really excited about being in the South Hall at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Here's that Las Vegas monorail I mentioned. It's a very quick and short walk. The central building in that loop stop is sitting right here. It's a really quick walk again. And outside of this doorway is where we'll do our verification process for all of our attendees and exhibitors. And I'll talk about that shortly as well, but I'm going to bring you inside the South Hall lobby space. Just like you're walking in first day of the show or getting your badge, we'll bring you right in here, give you a quick peek around. Now there's nothing in here right now, so it's a blank slate right now. So expect to see lots of great fancy food show signage and lots of signs and lots of stuff going on inside of this area here. All of these big doors that you see here will be open and make it really easy for you to jump out onto the show floor and off the show floor. Right up these escalators and stairs, you're going to find a second floor, which I'm going to go over in a second as well. That's where all of our scan and go registration will be, any on-site registration. All of our education programs are happening on that level. So it's a real quick escalator ride and you're right here on the second floor. Everyone will grab what they need or go to the education and then come right back down and jump right onto the show floor. I'm going to take you just a quick peek into the show floor before I show you what's going on there. So I'm going to stop right here. This is the very front of our show floor. And as you can see, it's an elevated show floor, which means that standing on the top of this little landing right here, I can see all the way down to the very back of the show where all of our internationals and all of our exhibitors will be. So it really makes it simple to see the entire floor from this perspective. There's some quick couple steps down and you're onto the show floor, and on both sides you have ADA ramps as well to help you get down. And that's really a quick snapshot of what it looks like jumping out onto our show floor. Obviously, there's no show set up here, so it looks like a blank slate again, but we're going to have all kinds of great stuff for you, as I'm going to show you in a second. One thing I wanted to just talk about real quick and show you a quick video on is the Las Vegas Loop. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. This is the Las Vegas Loop. This is actually the Central Hall stop, which is right in front of the Central Hall Convention Center, which is where most of our attendees would be let out to go to the South Building. This was built over the last 3 years by the Boring Company, and they've basically dug holes underneath here that take you all the way to the West Building. And as I mentioned before, it'll take you to the Resorts World as well. I'm going to show you a quick video just so you get a sense for what this looks like. So that's the loop. Really, really cool. We think that's going to really help our attendees get around while they're in Las Vegas. And we're really looking forward to sharing that with you out in Las Vegas in February. Okay, so as I mentioned, that's the loop right there. Here's the connection to Resorts World that's happening right now and should be done by the end of the year, because CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, is looking forward to using that for their show as well in January. So we're excited about that. Okay, moving on. So here's a quick snapshot to give you a sense for all the hotels that are currently in our block. So what we've tried to do is keep hotels within walking distance, or on the loop, or on the monorail. The two hotels that aren't quite on either one of those are the Wynn Encore. Although you could walk down East Desert here and get to the convention center, it's easier for folks who are staying at either Encore or Wynn just to walk across the block here, or walk over to Resorts World, jump on the loop, and take it right to the Central Hall. As you can see here, there are a lot of options for our attendees as it relates to various price points, various types of hotels, everything from $89 up to the Wynn Encore properties, where you can see here that there's a couple different options for you at the $229 to $299 price point. One of the really great things as well is that the Las Vegas McCarran Airport is just 3 miles down Paradise Road, which is this road right here. As soon as you get out, you can take a ride share, a taxi, and literally within 3 to 5 minutes, takes about 5 to 10 minutes with traffic, you're at the convention center and ready to start your journey through the Fancy Food Show. Moving on to our lobby and our verification process and our first level. So this is on the left side here is where you see the entrance to the building that I just showed you. We have an entire verification team that'll be out here verifying vaccinations and or negative COVID tests, which I'll talk about in 1 second. When you come into the lobby, as I mentioned, you go up those escalators. And once you go up those escalators, you'll see here, this is the 2nd floor. There's a phone charging area. There's going to be a bunch of reg scan and go counters to make it really easy for you to just scan your badge and get your authorization, authorization and get your badge. Inside of this room will be all those folks who are on site, exhibitor reg. And as you can see here, there's a few offices. All of our education will happen on that 2nd level as well. And then everybody just goes downstairs, and as you see on the left side here, you go right out onto the show floor. Our hotel information counters here. We'll have our safety ambassador here. And so first aid and things like that are all inside that lobby, including our resource center and show information counter. And I'll answer questions at the end for everyone. You'll be able to ask any questions that you want, and I'll be happy to answer as many questions as I can, or get back to you if I don't have an answer for you. Moving on to the next one. So let's talk about the safety at the Fancy Food Show. So we have decided that we are 100% committed to delivering a first-class experience at the Las Vegas Convention Center for our members and the entire industry, while prioritizing health and safety for all. The Las Vegas Convention Center is one of the most safe venues in the entire country. They are what's called a GBAC certified or accredited facility, which means that their venue implements some of the highest industry standards for cleaning and disinfection for any type of infection agents like coronavirus. The Fancy Food Show, it will require proof of full COVID-19 vaccination or a negative COVID test from all attendees, exhibitors, show staff, and vendors. And that negative COVID test was within a 72-hour period. In Las Vegas and the state of Nevada, it's required that everyone wear a mask indoors, inside of convention centers, inside of restaurants, inside the casinos. So our mandate will be the same as the states, and everyone will be required to wear masks. Food sampling will be allowed and encouraged, and in 3 simple steps. You lower your mask, you eat or drink the sample, raise your mask back up and move on, or have a discussion with that great member company. On-site rapid testing will be available, but we do encourage anyone not vaccinated to get pre-tested within that 72-hour period before coming to Las Vegas and to the convention center. That would make it the most easy for you to get vaccination verified or negative COVID verified and get right on in. Moving on. Let's take a quick peek at our show floor. So in Las Vegas in the South Hall, we have a large floor, 1 level, and this floor will have a lot of things for all of you to see and for our exhibitors to show our attendees. Starting in that left corner is our startup pavilion, which I'll talk about in a second. We also have our accessory supplier and business service area in that row there. We've started to group what we call birds of a feather into groups so that it makes it really easy for folks to find what they're looking for. The exhibit space and media sales office will be right there on that bottom side. Our membership lounge, which I'll talk about in a second as well, will be on the show floor to make it really easy for our members to stop in, talk to our member specialists, and talk about the SFA and membership at the SFA. Our new SFA product marketplace will have a booth with our Infinite Aisle folks to talk about the new product marketplace in Infinite Aisle. You can see the what's new in specialty food and what's hot in specialty food. has changed a little in its look and feel, and also the location is right there on the show floor, making it really easy for folks to be able to see brand new products to the industry, as well as what's hot in the food industry as well. Cheese Pavilion, our chocolate pavilion, our state pavilions is still there. Our plant-based pavilion, the Incubator Village area will be on the show floor as well, making it really easy and a great destination for our incubators and accelerators. The Sophie display area will be on the show floor, as you can see there on that up bottom right-hand corner. That will display Sophie winners from 2020 and 2021, I believe. And in the back area, you see all of our international pavilions, and I'll talk about that in 1 second as well. And then we have a whole area right on the show floor for our key buyers and their meeting, and giving them meeting rooms so that they can have meetings, team discussions before they get out onto the floor, after the show is over, right there on the show floor. So we're giving them a headquarters to be able to do their business at the Fancy Food Show. Moving on. So I just mentioned what's new and what's hot in specialty food. These are the new case design. As I mentioned, it's going to be right there on the show floor, right in the middle of the hall. It's going to be a destination location that folks will be able to walk through and see those products. Every product will be identified who the company is, where to find them on the show floor in terms of their actual exhibit space. And our attendees will see the hottest products that have been introduced to the market in the last 2 years on display, going back to right after the Winter 2020 show, which, believe it or not, is our last in-person Specialty Food Association Fancy Food Show. So it'll make it really easy for folks to be able to find both of those locations right onto our show floor. Our startup pavilion. If some of you have been around the specialty food, fancy food shows for a long time, you probably remember our program. Can't even think of the name of it. The shelf program, but we've created a startup pavilion area, and that startup pavilion area is for our brand new startup members. And that startup pavilion area is for members who have been in business less than 2 years, and making sure that they have an easy, cost-effective way to be able to showcase their products on our show floor at the Fancy Food Show. So that'll be in that bottom right-hand corner, as I showed before. Incubator Village is a fan favorite, especially of the buying community. Incubator Village will be on the show floor again, as I mentioned before, and that area will have incubators and all of their companies directly on the show floor for buyers to be able to walk through, see, and experience those great new products as well. The SFA Member Lounge, that area right on the show floor for all of our members to be able to take a seat, talk to a member specialist about their membership or becoming a new member of the SFA, understanding what the benefits are of being a member of the SFA, and all the great stuff that goes along with being a member of Specialty Food Association. Again, right on the show floor, our entire member specialist team will be there waiting for you, and it'll be a great place to be able to maybe sit down, talk to somebody about the SFA, and talk about the fancy food shows as well, if you'd like. Our international pavilions, we've already started placing our international pavilions, and we already have internationals from Italy, France, Greece, Brazil, Canada, India, Indonesia, Morocco, Spain, Japan, Poland, and Singapore already confirming their space for the winter show in Las Vegas. We're in the process of placing them all on our show floor right now. So we have a ton of great international products in our international pavilions that'll be ready for our attendees to see all the great products from around the world. Our maker education. So we've scaled back our education just for the Winter Fancy Food Show. And we'll have a whole series of education for our maker community. Our basics program, as many of you may know, is a great program for brand new companies to understand all of the startup preparedness education from start to finish, being a new member of the specialty food industry. So it really gives you a great snapshot of all you need to know about the specialty food industry. We have our maker space, which will have programming going on throughout the entire 3 days of the show, which includes classes, talks, interactive content designed for both new and running specialty food companies. There'll be sales, branding, and operation, marketing emphasis types of sessions for them. And then there'll also be roundtable share groups, office hour programming being assessed as well right now. Our Maker Pass provide access to all talks, classes, workshops that are taking place inside of the maker space during the show. And the Maker Basics program is actually priced separately from that. And I wanted to give you an update on the Summer Fancy Food Show, which is happening in New York City in June. The new dates are June 12th through the 14th. We'll occupy all of level 1 and level 3 at the Javits Center. And we'll have a new and improved Biz Builder program that'll be rolled out. More details to come in 2022 about that. We'll have a full on-site education program. We're looking at keynotes for that event in June of 2022 as well. And that we'll have some additional integration with the new SFA product marketplace in our Infinite Aisle program. So that is the update for all of you. And I am here to take questions, and I think Gretchen's going to help me with that.
Sure, Leo, happy to help.
Thanks.
So a couple of cost questions to start out. The first one is, what is the cost to use the loop?
What is the cost? I'm sorry?
To use the loop, the Las Vegas Convention Center loop.
That's the best part of the loop. It is free.
Nice.
100% free.
Good answer.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, what is the cost of the rapid COVID tests on site?
We don't actually have those costs yet. We're working with some what they call mobile vendors that come right there on site and do that. We'll try to keep that cost as low as possible, but we haven't gotten the actual cost yet. We're still working on that right now.
Okay, great. Couple questions about Biz Builders. So I know that you mentioned that Biz Builders will be going on for summer, but we will not have Biz Builders at the Las Vegas show. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. And then a question is, does the Startup Pavilion replace Business Builders? So not exactly. Could you go in a little more detail about the Startup Pavilion?
Yeah, no problem. So the Startup Pavilion actually replaces New Brands on the Shelf. That was what I was trying to remember the name of. If some of you remember our New Brands on the Shelf, which was a member candidate program, it's for brand new startup companies that are less than 2 years old. And what they get is a tabletop area, which has carpet and the table included for a reasonable price point for those new companies. They have to be in business less than 2 years. They have to be doing less than $1 million in gross revenue. And they can only do that startup area for one time per show. And then once they graduate from that, they can either do a regular booth on our show floor, maybe team up with an incubator if they're still feeling like they need that help, and participate in Incubator Village.
Great, thank you. When will the show kits be available online?
Great question. Those show kits are being finalized this week, and the kits should be available within the next week. I'm just looking at a calendar here. They should be available in the first week of December.
Great. Here's a question. How do we choose our booth? I'm a gourmet seasoning and sea salt brand. Should I be in a specific section?
Yeah, so the good thing about especially Las Vegas is that the type of show floor that it is, you're going to get found pretty much anywhere that you are on that show floor because of the way that it will loop for the attendees. Right now, there isn't a specific spot for you. So what the best thing to do is talk to one of our member development representatives. They can guide you to different spaces that are, might have a little bit better spot because this is there or that is there, but they can guide you through what the best space is for your type of business on our show floor.
Wonderful. So you mentioned future shows at the West Concourse. Will the winter show be permanently in Vegas instead of San Francisco?
That's a great question. So right now we're really focused on Las Vegas for the winter of 2022. We have not made a decision on where we're headed for 2023. As many folks know, we spent a long time in San Francisco. We love San Francisco. We love the city and they love us. So we're still evaluating that. So stay tuned for more on that one.
Got it. What are the attendee registration numbers looking like and how does it compare to previous years?
Great question. So the registration literally just opened on Monday and we've got quite a few registrations already, but it's still a little too early to compare that right now to a previous show.
Okay, great. This one is a little specific, but let's give it a shot.
Sure.
Can I make room reservations for 4 salespeople now and then modify them as we get closer to the dates?
I believe the answer to that question is yes. You can go ahead and reserve those rooms in our block and make changes to them. There's a specific cutoff date, and I don't have that date in front of me, but it would be on the website. That information will be on the website, but you can reserve your hotel rooms now.
Super. Could you please repeat the dates for summer?
Yeah, the summer dates would be June 12th through 14th, 2022.
How do you qualify or get into the what's new section?
Okay, so the what's new section is, again, your product just needs to have been introduced into the market within the last 2 years. Since we haven't done a live in-person fancy food show since winter of 2022 or January 2020, any product that was introduced to the market from February of 2022 until the show is acceptable for what's new in specialty food. If you don't fall in that category and you really want to still showcase your product, you can still go in the what's hot section.
Okay, great. Where can we send our samples to? Is there a specific address at the convention center that we should be using? So I believe that's their freight for their booth is the question.
The freight for the booth, so that'll all be in the exhibitor services kit. There's a couple different choices that you'll have. You can send it directly to the warehouse ahead of time, or you can ship it on site so that when you get to the Las Vegas Convention Center, you can pick it up while you're there on site. We always recommend shipping ahead of time to the warehouse because then you're guaranteed that your freight will get there earlier. But yeah, that'll all be in the exhibitor service kit, which will be out in the next few weeks.
Great. What is the cost of the new product showcase?
The cost of what's new in specialty food? Is that the question?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, the cost is very inexpensive. I believe the cost is $295 for up to 2 products, and that's considered for a half shelf.
When will we receive the hotel block email?
It's actually, I believe, already gone out beginning of the week. Again, if you go to specialtyfood.com, click on the Winter Fancy Food Show link and go to the attendee section, and you'll see all of the hotel information is right there, including the link.
Great. When did the dates for Summer Fancy Food change? I have it a week later on my calendar, someone says.
Yeah, so we've been trying really hard to move our dates away from the 4th of July week. We were running up against that tighter and tighter as we went further and further along, excuse me, year after year. So we just recently got that update literally within the last week. It just got updated. We're actually right in the process of updating all that on our website. You'll start to see that coming live in the next few days.
Super. Will there be any hybrid components to either the winter or summer show? So like digital components, or is it only a live event?
Right now, it's just a live event. We're looking at how we might be able to create a hybrid for the summer show, but right now, Vegas is just an in-person event.
Here's one that I'd like to weigh in on, but Leo, you may want to as well. This is my first trade show. Are there any best practices or recommendations on what we should bring for our display? So that's something that we will do a webinar a bit closer to the show. We always do it with some of our operations folks from Leo's team, where we talk a lot about what to do to prep for the show. But we also have quite a few materials in our learning center at specialtyfood.com. So please do reach out to us at education@specialtyfood.com. If you have any questions about that, we're happy to help you and point you to some good resources.
Yeah, and one just real quick tip: the lighter your booth property or what you bring, the better. So if you can roll a pop-up, if you have a small 10 by 10 booth, for instance, and you can roll a pop-up right in and pop it up, that's the most cost-effective way to have a presence inside of our show, or any show for that matter.
Absolutely. And a few questions about we get this deck and this recording? Yes. So right where you signed up for this webinar in the Learning Center, it will be posted there. And we'll also be getting it onto specialtyfood.com. But the quickest way to get it will be to go right to the Learning Center where you signed up for this webinar. Again, if you have any trouble, just shoot us a line, education@specialtyfood.com, and we'll give you a hand. When or where is the marketing package?
When or where is the marketing package? I'm not sure I
I guess
understand.
when would they be receiving a marketing package?
In terms of being able to promote their presence at the show? I'm
I
guessing.
believe that that's what the question is. The person who asked it, please feel free to clarify.
Yeah, I think you're asking about being able to pre-promote your presence at the Fancy Food Show. We usually provide like a email tag that you can add there and whatnot. So that's all being developed right now and will be available on the actual specialtyfood.com website for you within the next few weeks, I assume.
Great. She asks, yes, if I'm going to be in the What's New gallery, et cetera, to promote, that'll be there.
Yep.
Great. Well, we are just about down to our last question or two here. So folks, if you have any others, please do enter them in. As an attendee, are there specific rules about connecting?
Specific rules about connecting. We
I wonder
encourage.
if Yeah, I think it means networking, but let us know, Brendan, if I'm incorrect about that.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly encourage connection.
Networking, yes, he says.
Yeah, networking, absolutely. We're looking at, like, for instance, we're looking at potential venues for an opening night kickoff party in Las Vegas that we're looking at to make a networking event. But yeah, in terms of on the show floor, we encourage networking. We want buyers and sellers talking to each other and networking with one another. So the more of that, the better. Our shows are all about the community getting together, buyers and sellers talking, seeing product, tasting product, and doing business.
Great. Will the Las Vegas Convention Center be doing the EDV program, the program where you can drop off your own boxes at the convention center? We
will. Yep, there will be, that program will be available. It'll be right just to the left. I'm sorry, if you're looking at the convention center South building, it'll be just to the right of that. And all that information will be available in the exhibitor services kit as well. But yes.
Great. Is the monorail also free or just the loop?
The monorail is not free, but it's really inexpensive. I don't actually have the specific pricing on that, but it's very inexpensive. It's a little slow, but it's cheap.
Monorail.
It's not like the Disney monorail where it zooms by. It's kind of relaxed, so you get to see all of Vegas.
It putt-putts. All right, as long as it gets us there.
Exactly.
Where is the best place to find more information about the What's New, What's Hot product submissions?
Yeah, so the best place would be to talk to one of your event and member development representatives, as you can see here on the screen on the left side. Any one of them can help you with the What's New, What's Hot and provide you that brochure. That brochure will real soon get that up on the website under the exhibitor information area as well, so people have access to that. But the best thing is to talk to your member development rep, either Greg, Rachel, or Mimo.
Great. Will there be social distancing rules at the show?
So we will encourage all of the CDC requirements. We'll encourage social distancing. Obviously, we'll keep track of folks with their masks, make sure that people's masks are up. We will have safety ambassadors at the show, encouraging folks to keep their distance. We don't know exactly what everything's going to look like in February. So we're going to follow the guidelines from the CDC and the city of Las Vegas and the state of Nevada.
And how about sampling with COVID? You spoke briefly about pulling your mask down, but any particular rules for exhibitors with preparing samples?
No, so the sampling rules have gone back to how we did before. I would highly suggest just being a little bit more careful about how you present the food if you can. But in terms of sampling, attendees will just be able to lower their masks, sample their product, put their mask back up. Obviously, we encourage sneeze guards. We encourage anytime you're doing cutting of food like meats and cheeses to do that not in front of your table at the very front, but do it behind and then bring the samples out. So all the same rules, our sample rules, which will be in the exhibitor services kit as well, are fully in effect for Las Vegas.
Great. Will exhibitors get a list of the buyers who are attending?
Nope. We don't share our list for a number of reasons. The biggest one is just privacy. We have privacy requirements that we're not allowed to share information unless our attendees say that they want their information shared.
Do you have pictures or videos of previous shows that would give us newbies a sense of what the show looks like?
There are so many pictures. Just Google Fancy Food Show. Google Fancy Food Show, and you will see a ton of pictures, lots of videos. There is a ton. The Fancy Food Shows have been around in New York for 64 plus years, and in San Francisco, 45 or 46 years. So there's a lot out there right now that you can find about the show, pictures, videos, you name it. That's the best place to find them. Our social channels as well, Facebook, Instagram, our social media team, Adrienne and her team do a great job making sure there's lots of really great photos from the show that you can see.
Yep, check out our hashtags from the past for sure.
Yeah.
One more question about sampling, and this may be the last one.
Sure.
Is there a prep area for preparing your samples? And do you have to provide samples?
That's a great question. So there are some what we call cleanup stations. So there's areas where you can kind of get stuff prepared, clean up if you have any kind of dishes and stuff that you need to clean. They're spread out on the show floor. In terms of bringing samples, no, you don't have to bring samples. We highly encourage bringing samples. But I think one of the misconceptions, I think, unless you have a gigantic booth and tons and tons of product, buyers really want to see your hottest products, your newest products. That's what they're really looking for. So, ideally, if there's a way to do that in small format, so if you can do that in a small way, that's probably the best thing. We highly suggest you bring samples, but you don't have to bring enough for 10,000 people. You could bring enough for 300 to 500 people or 1,000 people, and just be careful about who you let sample your food.
Absolutely. And this person also says, I'm trying to figure out the best way to showcase my seasonings. Another tip that I would give people is come to our community hub on specialtyfood.com. It is a great place to post a question like that, because you will get other members who can say, oh, I also have a seasoning company. I always put mine on, a little piece of toast, or I always do this. People are so willing to help one another. This is one of the best things about our industry. So please do just go to the community hub on specialtyfood.com and post your question.
Great place to see and ask questions. There's so many great members of the SFA that are willing to share their history with the fancy food shows. They've been doing, we have members who've been doing the fancy food show for 40 plus years, and they know better than we know how to do that. So that is a great suggestion, Gretchen.
And I think this is the last one. Do the booths have electrical outlets?
Every booth can have electrical, but every booth does not include electrical. So that is a building service that you'd have to order ahead of time. We highly suggest, if you need it, order ahead of time, because you get a better price on that electrical. It's not super expensive, and it's actually cheaper if you order it ahead of time. You'll see that in the exhibitor service kit. There are specific dates that if you order by, it's like a 20-25% discount from ordering on site.
That's all from me, Leo.
Well, great. Well, thanks to everyone who joined us today. We really do appreciate all of you. For our members, thank you for being a member of the SFA. We are looking forward to seeing everybody out in Las Vegas for the Fancy Food Show. And if you have any other questions, this team that you see on the screen here, you can reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer questions for you. And be sure to check out our social media posts. And we're just really looking forward to seeing everybody. Adrienne, anything on your end?
Yeah, well, first of all, fantastic questions. Great job answering them, Leo and Gretchen. And just as a reminder for those that weren't here in the beginning, there is a link to our LinkedIn event and our Facebook event in the chat. Please RSVP to that so you get weekly updates, and feel free to share that with your network so you guys can start connecting way ahead of the show and planning meetings. Who knows? You don't know what could happen there. So make sure you RSVP. Thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
if you're not a member of the SFA, become a member. It's super easy. There's tons of great member benefits. The team that you see over on that right side is an amazing team of member specialists, and they are eager to help you. So please reach out to them and become a member if you aren't already. Thank you, everybody. Have a great, great day, and we appreciate you joining us.